Have you ever wondered, how tall is the Shinra Building? This is a question that I didn't know that I wanted an answer to until this person asked. And after doing some searching online, yeah, there are no official numbers as to how tall this building actually is. So what we're going to do today is take in-game measurements of the building and then convert those into real-world measurements. Keep in mind, these are going to be estimates, but before we get started, let's go over a few parameters that will determine how we do this. 1. We will only measure the building from its base to its top. We do not include the central pillar or deep ground. 2. We're not just measuring the outside of the building either. We're also going to be measuring how far the party travels on the inside as well. There is a difference between what we see on the outside and how far we actually travel on the inside. But more on that later. It's complicated. 3. We're going to make an assumption that the height of each character model matches their stated height in the lore. We're going to be needing this as our frame of reference for later. Let's start with the version of the building that we see at the start of Chapter 16. And first things first, we need our frame of reference. We'll be using Cloud's height for that. Cool. So we're going to say that Cloud is 5'8", or 173 centimeters. Now, you may be asking, how do we use this to get the full scale of the building? Easy. We just duplicate him. I'm using a tool called Unreal Engine Unlocker, and what we can do is we can move character models around the world freely. What we are interested in here is how tall Cloud is on his Z-axis. So using this Unlocker tool, we can say that Cloud is 175 units tall, or that 5'8", or 173 centimeters, is equal to 175 of these units. And now that we have that information, we can fly. As we can see, the building comes out to about 87,900 units tall. All that's left to do now is to convert that back to centimeters and feet. We know from earlier that 173 centimeters is equivalent to 175 of our units. This means that we can take 87,900 and multiply that by 173 divided by 175. That's our ratio. And our total comes out to about 86,895 centimeters, or 2,850 feet tall. To put that into perspective, the tallest building in the world right now is the Burj Khalifa, sitting at around 2,716 feet tall, which puts the Shinra Building at about 134 feet taller. Now, we have to shift gears and measure how tall the building is from when we see it on the inside. This can get tricky because of how FF7 Remake handles new areas to load. It's very rigid compared to FF7 Rebirth. For example, in FF7 Rebirth, if you stand on the shores between Gungaga and the Corel region, you can actually see the Cosmo Canyon Observatory, but it is in a low poly state. Remake, on the other hand, only loads in assets when they're needed. This means you aren't going to see other zones loaded in at the same time from the zone that you're currently in. In fact, some of the larger zones that we traverse in Remake, they're loaded in chunks. They don't load everything in all at once. So this makes it difficult. How do we measure how high we're going in world space when we can't see the previous zone from the zone that we're currently in? Well, we have a secret weapon. These guys. To demonstrate the problem we're faced with, let's take a look at the cutscene that takes us from the outside into the underground parking garage. The party jumps on the back of a truck, and then we get a fade to black screen, then appear inside of the garage. The problem is, we don't know where in world space we are, because the outside section and all of its assets have been unloaded, and there's no way to get back outside. However, if we take the camera outside of the garage towards where the main Shinra Building lobby is, we can find the blue energy field that surrounds the front desk, even though that area has not been loaded in yet. Interesting. As it turns out, if we go looking for this energy field while outside, we can actually find it where we would expect it to be, right behind the front doors of the building. That means that the outside and inside are all logically connected. Surprisingly, we can see the transition between the outside and inside if we just walk through the front doors. What's important to note here is that the Shinra guards have remained loaded in even though the outside zone has been unloaded. This indicates that the cutscene to the garage is responsible for unloading these assets. So in theory, if we make it to the top of the building without any further cutscenes, we should be able to find these Shinra troops still loaded in, regardless of where we go. So to demonstrate this theory, we will bypass the cutscene and run the entire distance from the outside to the Skyview Hall on the 59th floor. This will also prove that, at least from a map layout perspective, everything is connected in a believable way. Because we skipped the cutscene going to the garage, we will not see or fight any enemies. Some doors will not open, and key items such as keycards are unobtainable. Thankfully, in the case of locked doors, we can just use our unlocker tool to phase right through them. While Cloud is putting in leg day, here's an interesting fact about the elevators. If you choose to take the elevators instead of the stairs to the Skyview Hall, you stop on multiple floors until you reach the 59th floor. What you may not have known is that on every floor you stop at, you are directly across from the same level as if you were on the stairs. Meaning, you end up at the same height in world space regardless if you take the elevators or stairs.
How neat is that?
The last thing to show here is on the 45th floor. It's the only level on the stairwell that contains a partial walkway between the stairs and elevator rooms. While I'm only guessing, it's possible that at one point during development, we may have had an option to freely move between the stairwell and elevator rooms.
That's pretty neat.
Now that we've reached the Skyview Hall, we can now check to see if our Shinra troops are still loaded in. When looking out the window, we'll notice that the skybox has changed and we are above the circular drum of the building. However, if we take the camera inside of the drum, we'll find that the Shinra troops are still loaded in, right where we left them. The last problem to solve is that we have not yet reached the very top of the Shinra building. We are only on the 59th floor. While we could try to run there, we could only make it to the 66th floor in Hojo's lab. So the easiest solution would be to move Cloud from the 59th floor to where we expect the top floor to be and see if we can make the area load in. In order to do this, we have to pause the world, which is separate from the regular pause menu. We do that using this unlocker tool. We moved Cloud up by 25,000 units, which should put him above President Shinra's desk. We will then use our unlocker tool to skip a few frames while paused to force load in the area. If we unpause the game now without skipping frames, we risk Cloud teleporting back down to his original location, because there's no solid ground for him to stand on. Now that the top section has been loaded, all that's left to do now is to verify that our Shinra troops are still loaded in. And since they are, we can begin measuring how tall the version of this building is. While antennas are not generally included in official building heights, we will be including the tallest antenna for the overall height in this scenario. One thing to note here is that our z-axis is currently sitting at about 30,326 units. This is the total distance from the 59th floor to the top of the antenna, so we will have to take into account this difference when we figure out our total height at the end. Okay, let's review. From the 59th floor to the top of the antenna was 30,326 units. From the 59th floor to the Shinra troops was about 28,579 units. So when we add these two together, that nets us about 58,905 units. And now we can convert this total back to centimeters and feet. So like before, we'll take our new total of 58,905 and multiply that by our ratio of 173 divided by 175. This will give us a grand total of about 58,232 centimeters or 1,910 feet tall. This puts the height of the building we travel in-game somewhere between the Lotte World Tower in Seoul, South Korea, and the Ping An Finance Center in Shenzhen, China. The total difference between our two Shinra buildings comes out to about 940 feet. So if we want to show how much higher the outside version is, we can put Cloud in front of the building and move him up exactly 58,905 units. This puts us just a little under where the Skyview Hall is located on the outside model. If we move Cloud forward about 24,000 units from here, this gets us right above the tower of the inside version. And so, that wraps up today's video. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video or thought it was interesting, give this video a like, or consider subscribing. It helps the channel grow and tells me that you guys would like to see more of this kind of content in the future. And let me know in the comments, did you find anything interesting from this? Did the size of the tower exceed or fall short of your expectations? And lastly, I just want to say thank you to this awesome community who watch these videos. I want you to know that I do read each and every one of your comments, and I appreciate your support, the feedback, and especially all of the awesome suggestions that you guys have come up with. A lot of these videos that I've made came directly from suggestions people have left in either a comment on a video or a post, so please, don't stop throwing me any new ideas of things to cover in the future. You guys take care of yourselves. Bye for now.